Alright, hopefully a semi-quick response video to a couple of videos. Piero made some video to that stupid hannibalbarca guy, who no one should pay attention to because he's an asshole. But of course an asshole would pay attention to an asshole and attempt a conversation with an asshole. So a lot of bullshit was spoken. You know, Piero said some really dumb things in this video. I mean, he concedes he doesn't know shit about biology, that he's more schooled in physics. And, you know, it shows sometimes. I mean, he's talking about human evolution over an 8 million year time frame and stuff, and there's just no point in going back that far. This is what humans did. They did fairly recently, you know, within the last couple of 100,000 years, is when they made themselves distinct. And where they did this tool set thing, where they did this vocabulary thing. And even somebody I respect, you know, a real good guy here, he says some crap in here, Ida dot, whatever. You know, prolonged conflict between rival, highly intelligent Homo sapiens would create a selective pressure necessary for higher intelligence. See, people keep talking about this higher intelligence, and I really don't think that's the way it should be seen. We didn't incrementally acquire a bigger brain, more intelligence. No, something very subtle changed in our brain that gave us vocabulary and this capacity to, you know, better use the resources that our brain already contained. So it's sort of like losing some of your sense of smell or losing some other sense to acquire some other capacity. Like an idiot savant who is very good at one kind of visual skill or audio skill, and completely idiotic at being a human being in general. You know, they'll just wet their pants and stuff. So yeah, we became focused on this hearing thing and vocabulary and communication. And once we had this literacy thing, once we had enough words, we could do this whole conceptual thing and into the book thing and all of that stuff. And I'm going to argue still again that a subtle change maybe to a chimpanzee or a great ape, subtle change to their brain, and they will also become language capable. And it might just have to do with how long they maturate, and the fact that if you just slow down their maturation, their brain will do what ours does, which is spend a couple of years basically unconscious and you know, not very connected to the reality, while a very good operating system is installed in our brain that makes our brain more functional. But it's not this higher intelligence. The mechanism is more subtle than knowledge possession. And so I find it really irritating when people talk about our intelligence as if we evolved a higher intelligence, and that's really not exactly, I don't think, how it took place. Then Pyro talks about who killed who, and all that stuff happened when the migration happened from Africa, the second migration of the Homo. And yeah, he went into Europe and he wiped out Neanderthal. You know, he certainly outcompeted him. Whether he killed him directly, who knows? But he certainly outcompeted his ass, and you know, gave him a bad life. And let's understand, Neanderthal was a dumb, meaty, you know, 90%, 80% meat diet, and the modern human had a much more diverse diet. So anyway, let's play this stupid Hannibal guy video, as he says some things just plain shit.
It's a very important and very good question about humans in general, and about whether or not we... I think what he's trying to get at is basically that, are we inherently a violent species, or are we a species that has become violent through our culture?
This is just another dopey argument. We're certainly violent in the possession of our own subjective experience and, you know, our stuff. So we're capable of violence. We're capable of tantrums. We're capable of anger, like every other primate. And you're going to talk a lot about bonobos. I haven't seen any examples of bonobos being made into any kind of domesticated pet or you know, adopted child, right? They're just as hard to socialize as chimpanzees because of their violent potential. So this is all this bonobo talk is such a pile of crap. Well, not all of it. I don't know all the research. I mean, I'm going back 30 years ago from my memory, and as I remember, bonobos were called then pygmy chimpanzees, and the distinction was, I think, they had a black face instead of a whiter face. And it's just such a pile of shit, though. I mean, you're breaking Darwin's rules here in some of the shit you're speculating about.
Well, it's not an easy question to answer, but we will go on.
Oh, please go ahead, giant, huge monster face.
Again,
blah blah blah.
I think that everybody
get to it.
Would like to know this.
No,
the first indication that we get a change in behavior in hominids from
behavior. Hear that? Change in behavior.
The earliest hominids is this. Well, this is an example here of your typical ape skull. We notice the canine here. And we notice that
it's not a typical ape skull in the first place, okay? I mean, orangutans don't have the gigantic canine teeth. Chimpanzees have less of canine teeth. Obviously, this is a gorilla skull, I would imagine. And look, the truth is, I had canines. Big, giant one. I still got the bones here in my skull, right here. Alright? And, you know, one of the decisions my parents made that wasn't too good is they had them extracted when I was a kid. But they were great teeth. I had great canine teeth.
Space between the canine. This is, of course, we have the large canine. We have the CP honing complex, and that's the diastema, the gap that allows the bottom tooth to slide past this one, and the little upper tooth to slide past down and sharpen the tooth. Now, this is very useful in
I don't even think that's true, okay? I think it's just a matter of finding a place to contain the teeth in your mouth without them chewing your own face to pieces. So I don't think it has anything to do with sharpening teeth. Our teeth really aren't made to be sharpened.
And it's in sexual battles for mates and things of this nature. Humans, however, of course, we don't have that.
Yes, battles for mates, you know, whatever. There's our
canine right there.
Yeah, well, that was sort of deceptive again, because there's lots of humans that have canine teeth. You know, they're different, that aren't as homogenized. But the modern human face probably has more to do with humans when they stood upright. I mean, there's lots of explanations for why we lost those teeth, and it has nothing to do with the fact of whether we're aggressive or not. First off, when we stood up, that changed the game, because now our hands became our signalers. We weren't reliant on our faces as much. Most primates meet each other on the ground, face forward. All right, so the face was really important. Our face became less important as we stood up, and we had other things to look at in the first place. And you know, definitely had the hands in each other's face now. Now we were hand animals first. And our hand usually had a goddamn stick in it, okay? And the reason why we probably don't have canine teeth anymore is because, guess what? The stick is mightier than the fucking tooth. The rock is mightier than the fucking tooth. You could now smite your fucking adversary by just picking up a fucking rock and bashing a hole in his fucking skull.
We see a gradual reduction of the canine over the span of hominid evolution. Ardipithecus has a bit of a canine complex like that. The only remnant we see in Australopithecus afarensis is that the diastema is still there. The little gap where the tooth should be going is there, but it's no longer there.
It's idiotic to say it's no longer there. They still had canine teeth, so this is just stupid to say it's no longer there, because I had canine teeth. People are born with them.
Because this is an inter-violence thing. This is an intersocial violence thing. Its reduction suggests that...
Yes, suggests, okay? And it suggests a lot of things, and this is just bullshit research. I mean, you want to call this a draft opinion video or something, that's fine, but you're talking like this is some sort of proven fact that this is why it happened, and this is how it happened, and there's lots of explanations for why we have a reduction in the aggressive features of our face. Besides this bullshit.
Humans reduced their social violence between one another. Now, that suggests to us that humans were not as violent as we are now.
Yeah, there's just no evidence of that whatsoever, so that's just a pile of crap. We're not all that violent now, okay? We're violent in the sense that we'll get armies together and have wars over politics, and we'll just direct people and point them, and we'll pay them money. And so there's lots of mechanisms to oblige us to take pot shots at each other, but we're not sitting there sticking shivs in each other's guts. We're not in your face doing the violence thing, and that would be a hell of a lot different. So we can go back to the Native Americans. Lots of warring tribes, small tribes warred with each other. The migrationary peoples of Europe and the northern Africa. You're going to find lots of people had lots of fights. So this is just bullshit.
And that we may have evolved this as a form of cooperative strategy. And that's why many are looking towards bonobos these days as a more appropriate model for humans, because bonobos mimic that kind of behavior in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you have no research about bonobos because, number one, it's a limited population. We don't even really have, I don't know if we have a Jane Goodall style study of bonobos and exactly what the attrition numbers are between families and tribes of bonobos. I'm sure they have some evolutionary pressure, just like every other organism. They're going to be out for their DNA, so I think this is all bullshit. They don't. Oh well, let's just say some more of this shit.
Ultimately, we don't see what would be described as violence among early hominids, and to give you an idea of just how many there.
I mean, again, that's just absolute fucking pulled out of your ass bullshit.
Would be. This is from the book Lucy's Legacy. This gives you an idea of the total family tree of humans, and this is not even all the specimens we found. Some of them are hard to...
Right, and it's a very scant record, and it's built out of a lot of fucking speculation, so all of that doesn't mean a hell of a fucking lot. Not hard science yet.
Some of them may be new species, others may not be. But in all of that time, we don't see a lot of traumatic injury. We don't see a lot of inter-conflict. In fact, I would say that humans are probably an exception to the rule in terms of that behavior.
Again, you got nothing. You have absolutely no evidence of that. And 40,000 years ago, we might have violently killed Neanderthals, but you're not going to find a fossil record of all those wars. Just like you're not going to find fossil records of the wars between the Apaches and the Mohawks or some other North American tribal warfare. So this is just all fucking goddamn made up crap. And we can see what human beings did when they came over from fucking Europe. They were pretty goddamn violent already. So this is just more bullshit.
Among primates. I think our cooperative behavior is what allowed us to survive. The whole group working together.
Oh, you mean the family. That's right, the family. Defending the family. Defending a genetic code. And it's happening with every other species, and it might be the explanation for why bonobos are so isolated, is the fact that they are less aggressive, but we still don't even have evidence of that. Like I said, I haven't seen any evidence that bonobos are more sociable than chimpanzees. Why aren't people walking down the street with their bonobo? Why are they less trainable than a fucking dog?
To survive, allow the group to survive. And to show everybody...
I mean, short of cutting its nuts off. I mean, okay, let me see you walk down the street. Let me see you live, okay, with a bonobo with his fucking nuts. Let's see how long you're able to do that without him beating the shit out of you.
At least give an idea of what we're talking about when we're talking about that last common ancestor. Here's a good picture of what we can demonstrate here. 8 million years ago, we believe this animal broke off from one another. Something probably not unlike a chimpanzee. Split into these disparate groups.
Yeah, I don't see orangutan anywhere on this fucking thing of bullshit here. So what the fuck good is this crap? Alright, I'm gonna move on.
It's not very high. What I think what we're seeing here, and I've also mentioned this in another video, the violence level among chimps has a lot to do with the fact that they're hemmed in on all sides by other chimps and by humans. It seems to create a great deal of stress. There's little resources in the areas that they live in, and there's even fewer now because of deforestation. that competition for resources and to survive seems to kick an instinct in that makes them very violent. But
oh, whatever. It doesn't kick in something that wouldn't exist anyway. I mean, it's just, animals do not just passively live with each other. Right? Within their social groups, they do the alpha thing. All right? Because it's genetically advantageous. And outside of that, they do the screw those fuckers over there. They're eating our food. And that's what they do.
bonobos are a different story. They live in smaller groups. They live in social groups where there isn't a lot of violence at all. For instance, rape is hardly ever seen in bonobo society.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's another one of these, trick you kind of statements. Because the truth is bonobos use, like girl hugging, whatever you want to call it, pseudo sex. Not sex to copulation or completion, as a social hug forgiveness mechanism. Okay, so it's not real sex. It's they're using part of that sensual behavior as a psychological medicine. Just as there be different animals have different cats will rub heads. Every animal has a different way of smoothing things over, and that's the way they smooth things over is through sex. So it disguises a lot of other kinds of behavior, and it also eliminates the need for it because it takes some of that pressure off.
That reduction in the size of their groups and that sociability, including sex. Bonobos and sex is like humans. It
isn't anything like human. And this again is you're just making this shit up. How could you even compare? You don't even know what a human is in nature, asshole. Take a human out of its culture and find out what it is. Find out if you'd want to live with one.
Insane. They just will screw anybody and anything.
Yeah, again, you have no proof of that, okay? Screw to copulation, screw to pregnancy. Yeah, prove it. Prove it, asshole.
Social buffer for them, and it seems to diffuse a lot of the overall violence in their society. Humans, I think, are actually what you are getting at, that we are meant more as caretakers of this planet.
Oh, hey, what a pile of crap. We are meant more as caretakers. We're a fucking goddamn tribe of goddamn monkey, okay, that had a few extra little capacities, right? We could pick up a stick, we could control fire, we could put little bones on the end of our stick to jab holes and poke holes in shit. That's what we fucking are, okay? We're a little fucking tribe of monkeys, all right, that all of a sudden broke loose out of Africa, went through Europe, annihilated everything. We slaughtered everything going towards Australia and all that shit. We killed all them giant ostriches and whatnots and the marsupial tiger and all this other crap. So this is just all a pile of shit. We probably exterminated the mammoth, the saber-toothed lion in North America. Come on.
Opposed to its destroyers. Once you get past our technology and everything else, we are still just these primates. I think that culture has made us this crazy in a lot of ways.
Oh, whatever. Again, with this idea that culture made us. We made the fucking culture. We've had democracies for a long time. And guess what? The motherfucking humans keep voting for their own self-fucking interest. They elected Ronald Reagan. They elected George Bush the first. They elected George Bush the second on purpose, for real, the second time after he was a proven liar and a mass murderer. So, yeah, we elected a mass murderer as president on purpose.
I think it's the constant trying to compete for resources, compete for jobs, compete for money, and the pitting of one another against.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And, yeah, no, like I said, you can go back to the Native American tribes. They were cutting each other's heads off all the fucking time. They'd go on monthly raids and go off and, wipe out some of their adversary just to keep them in check. So this is all a pile of shit.
Other people in our social groups have caused us to act more like chimps than we do like bonobos. The instincts...
Again, there still isn't any really hard evidence that bonobos are that distinct in their behavior. And again, let me see, you socialize them. I mean, why aren't bonobos doing the sign language thing? Why aren't bonobos doing all this kind of crap? Because they're no better at it than goddamn chimps.
They're there. The hardwiring is there, as far as I'm concerned. The basic hardwiring is there to act like these proto-chimpanzee apes that were running around in the Miocene and just happened to diverge from each other around that time, around that 8 million year time frame.
Oh, I mean, 8 million years ago, we were just weak monkeys. Okay, we weren't even interesting monkeys. The real game didn't start till about 200, 300,000 years ago. That's when humans started getting badass.
But I do not think it's hardwired into us. And in fact, they've recently been doing work on altruism and discovering genes in altruism.
Well, why even use a word like altruism and genes, right? So you're speculating that we have some sort of gene that says, I'm going to go take care of something because I believe it's sentient and its welfare is in jeopardy and it's being harm is being imposed. I mean, this is such a crock of fucking shit. We know that we're nationalistic, that we're nepotistic, this is racist. We know the reality of what we fucking are. There's no fucking goddamn altruism gene. This is fucking bullshit pseudoscience. This is worse than truth or nonsense. How do you even use the word altruism? It doesn't have anything to do with anything. That's a philosophical concept. You have to be a philosopher to even know what that fucking word means. Alright, it's a function of logic. It can't be a function of biology. There's no way to be altruistic biologically. It's idiotic.
I mean, that they appear to be present in at least chimpanzees, so they would probably be present in us also. I do think that we deserve better than what we've got right now, and I do think that we are not necessarily...
Oh, we deserve better. Yeah, no, the human race is a pile of shit. What deserves better is the fucking truth that you fucking assholes keep slaughtering. The truth deserves better than this. Intelligence deserves better than this. Okay, intelligence deserves a vessel like a Mr. Spock, not all you fucking goddamn, corporal clinks.
They're these genocidal apes that run around slaughtering everything, because the evidence really hasn't heard that out. It appears the exact opposite, actually.
No, it doesn't appear any of that. That's just pull out of your fat ass bullshit. Show me some real research that indicates any of that being the fucking truth. They're all self-interested. They all have to play the Darwinian game for their own survival. And this is just a pile of shit. Because you saw a couple of fucking apes hug each other, all of a sudden you've defined that's what being a bonobo is. And it's not the goddamn truth.
Our competition for resources, though, is our biggest problem. If we could reduce the competition for resources, if we could reduce the competition that people feel, particularly at the bottom, people who are poor and destitute, who have no
there's no way you're ever going to do that, okay? Somebody's always going to live upstream, and somebody's always going to live downstream, somebody's always going to live upwind, and somebody's always going to live downwind. So all that crap is just more pipe dream shit, and you're certainly not going to do it with 7 billion people on this planet, and yet you're the fucknut arguing with antinatalism. Oh, you're such a stupid, dumb fucker.
In society will lash out. They will do things that they wouldn't normally do. Break the law, sell drugs, kill people. This isn't...
This is completely a function of animal behavior. And you have animal behavior when you don't have something better. So when you don't have an informed, intelligent, truth-respecting intelligence possessing a human organism, then yes, they will revert to their nature, which is a selfish motherfucking asshole. That's the nature of the fucking beast. And all this
is a species thing. This isn't an individual ethnic thing, as a lot of people are trying to make this out to be. But I've never seen any evidence of intersocial violence of the type that we've had in the last 10,000 years when agriculture finally came into being.
Again, I never saw any such thing. And you've been around for 10,000 years. You have a good record of what we were doing 20,000 years ago or 40,000 years ago when we were killing off Neanderthals. Yeah, I don't think you have that record.
Agriculture is really what does it. Pooled resources that other people are trying to take will invite violence.
Oh yeah, guess what? Know what's going to invite violence? Yeah, that's right, Darwin. Okay, evolution will invite violence. All right, it's just a fact of fucking functional life for most organisms that don't fall into some, you know, some one tree in some South American forest somewhere. I mean, if they're in the real world competing for, yes, vital resources, okay, you have to have something to eat and a place to sleep and all that kind of shit and some way to can avoid your predators, and all those things are going to be resources, and the little selfish beasties are going to fight over them, and that's exactly what evolution demands. It demands the fight. It demands, that's what evolution requires, especially the quick evolution that took place with the hominids. There was probably even more and increased violence because there was even a higher premium on exacting the stronger, more capable, more functional genes out of the gene pool.
Even here in North America, where we had native peoples that were living spread out and were fairly sedate with one another, when agriculture is introduced.
You say so. You say so. You say so. And it's not agriculture when civilization on the bigger scale, where you start making houses and you start having a permanent address. That's when the game gets gnarly.
Just from Mesoamerica, that's when we see very large-scale cities created. That's when we start to see an upturn in violence, even though it's still...
Yeah, that's when you start seeing the fact that all of a sudden you're able to increase your population, and your increased population has to go out into the rest of the world because there's nowhere else to go, right? Okay, I mean, the Native Americans weren't going to build skyscrapers, okay? They couldn't go up. They had to go out. And you're not going to be able to do the going out thing if you don't take your club with you, your club card.
Well, not terribly high, but it's there. It seems to me that the hoarding of resources is really what causes intersocial violence in humans.
Oh, competition over resources is another way of saying that, and that has been around forever. That's right, forever. So this is all bullshit, mumbo jumbo.
Not so much that our instincts do it, although we can be violent, but I think that our culture creates people that are violent.
Yeah, our culture is shit, okay? The average person has no respect for the fucking truth, and I think you fall into that category also. You're just susceptible to a bunch of false notions and pseudoscience and bibble-babble, and you'll chase anything that looks anything like a little hopeful unicorn.
And in doing so, it makes us appear to be these genocidal primates with a death wish. So I hope that answers your question. I hope it's a good enough answer. If not, I will try to give some better accounting of it. I have no problem making another video if I need to.
Oh, you're such a pompous asshole. I'm fine.
Do so. I hope it answers your question. I appreciate the question, actually. It's a chance for me to use some of my skills to do.
Well, why don't you answer the questions I've asked you? Like, what's the point of creating a need that doesn't need to exist? Answer that question. Why create a little need machine that doesn't need to exist? Again, invention without purpose? That's fucking stupid. Especially when the invention produces harm as its primary functional attribute. Jackass. Enough of a video. Ugh, irritating jerks.